This is Channel 4, New Orleans.
In other news, the Washington Post newspaper says the Reagan administration has been given new information that the government of El Salvador has been torturing civilian prisoners. The paper says Ambassador Dean Hinton told Salvadoran President Alvaro Magana last month that the practice must be stopped or U.S. public support could be severely damaged. An appeals court here in New Orleans takes up the case today of two men convicted in the Bayou of Pigs operation. Stephen Don Black and Joe Hawkins were convicted last year of violating U.S. neutrality laws by plotting to overthrow the government of the Caribbean island nation of Dominica. A group of other soldiers for hire were arrested along with Black and Hawkins. They, though, were cooperative with the federal government. They were allowed to plead guilty to lesser charges.
Police in Gretna now suspect foul play in a hit-and-run which took place on Belchase Highway earlier this month. Dennis Wolter reports that they are asking for your help.
Police now say it was attempted murder, not an accident, when a light blue pickup truck ran down a 27-year-old man here in Gretna and fled the scene. A week and a half after it happened, William Rexwinkle of Gretna remains in intensive care at Joe Ellen Smith Hospital, still in a deep coma and badly injured.
The doctors give him a 50-50 chance right now. Still in a very critical condition.
Police say it happened about 9:30 at night. Rexwinkle was walking here along Belchase Highway, headed toward his apartment up the road, when all of a sudden a pickup truck actually veered off the road and smashed into the back of him.
Police say at least 6 people saw it happen. One of them, a cab driver, tells police he was following the pickup down the highway at the time.
It was coming straight down the highway, and then it just turned, hit him, and took off.
All indications are that the vehicle intentionally ran off the road and struck Mr. Rexwinkle.
There were no skid marks, no evidence that the pickup had either swerved to avoid something in the road or tried to avoid hitting Rexwinkle.
And from all indications, police say it was apparently a spur-of-the-moment malicious act. That the driver of the pickup apparently didn't know Rexwinkle.
I think it was just the person just seen someone walking down the street and decided to run him down.
Police are afraid they're dealing with a psychopath, and they're appealing for the public's help in finding the 2 white people who were inside the light blue pickup. They add the truck may have needed body work. Dennis Wolter, Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
If you can help, call the Gretna Police at 366-4374. That's 366-4374. The District Attorney's Office in St. Tammany Parish says it will study the report on a shooting before giving its verdict on that incident. St. Tammany police say a 21-year-old woman being forced into a car at gunpoint pulled her own weapon and shot her alleged assailant. Authorities say 21-year-old Dennis Harris was killed by the shot fired by Laverne Williams. Harris was an escapee from the Covington jail.
A potentially dangerous situation has been taken care of now in St. Charles Parish. Workers there have just about finished repairing a leaking natural gas line located behind the Union Carbide plant near Hanville. River Road was closed for a few hours late last night until that leak was slowed somewhat. River Road is now back open to traffic. A lot of residents on the West Bank are upset this morning. They do not want a low-income apartment complex built in their neighborhood. And Taylor Henry reports they can't seem to do anything to stop it.
Complaints from angry neighbors are not stopping developer Ronald Brignac.
Not as a person of, because he's below the median income in a particular locality, have to go through some kind of public hearing process before he can live in a certain part of the city.
In Algiers, a 132-unit rent-subsidized apartment complex is 2 months under construction and already 30% complete, just blocks away from 2 middle to upper-income communities. Brignac and 2 partners are the developers. Residents in the nearby subdivisions of Aurora and Tall Timbers feel slighted. They complain the developer started the project without consulting them. And since the property was already zoned as a residential planned community, no public hearings were required.
All we can do is, at this point is to make the public aware of the impact of a project of this magnitude.
Residents worry about traffic, parking, and potential crime problems a poverty-level housing project will bring to their area. Under a HUD contract, only families can live here, but the complex provides parking for less than 2 cars per unit. And area residents are concerned there's no playroom for almost 200 children expected to move in with parents or guardians. And flooding, they say, is already a problem. Federal regulations allowed construction to begin with a letter of no objection from the city of New Orleans. That letter came in April from Mayor Morial's office, and Brignac says he'll begin taking applications from prospective tenants after Labor Day. Taylor Henry, Channel 4 Eyewitness News.
Charity Hospital here in New Orleans is asking for your help this morning in relieving a serious blood shortage. Hospital spokesperson Sue Ellen Lewis says Charity is in particular need of O-positive blood. The hospital's blood bank, which is located on the first floor of Charity, will open at 7 a.m. today and tomorrow to accept donors. A New Orleans man struck by lightning yesterday afternoon died early this morning. 60-year-old Harold St Julian was playing golf in a tournament on the Pontchartrain Park course when he was struck. He was rushed to Pendleton Hospital, where he died at 2:20 this morning.
Well, since Bill Elder began his series on colon and rectal cancer, more than 40,000 free testing kits have been picked up. Now here's Bill's final report.
We have told you in the first two reports that scientists now suspect a strong correlation between colon and rectal cancer and drinking Mississippi River water. We would also like to stress that diet also plays an important part.
In the underdeveloped countries where the diets are much more bulky and the individuals empty their bowel more frequently than they do in the Western or more developed countries, there's a tremendous decrease in the incidence of colon cancer.
But what seems more important than anything else is the heredity factor. Take Charles Bachman of 925 Foucher Street, for instance.
Well, I was doing family research, genealogical research in Wales in 1977, and I had a suspicion of what I'd find, but I still felt quite strange when the people in the little local documents office gave me this death certificate from my great-great-grandmother who died in 1885, and on here it says carcinoma of the rectum, 21 months. It was still a shock to find that, even though I have here my grandfather's death certificate from 1934, carcinoma of the kidney, my mother's death certificate from 1968, carcinoma of the colon, and I have here the record of my own colon surgery back in 1975. So I've been aware for a long time that cancer ran in the family, and it still was a shock to find this about my great-great-grandmother, although I almost knew what I was going to find before they gave me the paper.
That is a fascinating story. By now, I hope that many of you have picked up this free detection kit at the Eckerd drugstores, and if you have, and I hope that you have, here now is what you must do.
The people who pick up the test kit should read the instructions, and I believe that they will also get additional instructions at the drugstore. There is a separate section which discusses the diet, which improves the accuracy of the test. The reason for the diet is to be sure that certain substances which will cause the test to be positive, even if there is no blood, will be excluded. In other words, you won't have them, and certain interfering substances will not be eaten at the time. There is one important thing, however. If a person who picks up this test kit, such as a diabetic, is on a special medical diet, they should not change their medical diet. It's extremely important. If someone is a diabetic, he stays on the diet that his doctor currently has him on.
Now, should the test be positive, there is no need to panic. Dr. William Ferrante of Oxnard talks about the possibilities.
A positive test means that if there is blood, if the test is due to blood in the stool, means that there's hidden blood in the stool. We're talking about the patient whose stool does not have visible blood. This could be due to cancer. That's one possibility. It could be due to a bleeding hemorrhoid, to inflammatory conditions of the intestine, to a peptic ulcer, or it could be the result of a patient taking certain anti-inflammatory drugs for arthritic conditions such as aspirin or Indocin, which would cause erosions of the lining of the stomach to bleed. So that a positive test does not necessarily mean cancer.
But it does say, check it out.
It says check it out. It's a warning sign.
So now all of the facts are in, and the decision is yours. That decision could well save your life. I'm Bill Elder with cameraman Dave Joachim.
Incidentally, if you have any questions about the test, you can call Oxnard Hospital. The phone number is 838-3888. Again, that is 838-3888.
It's 17 minutes before 7. Don Westbrook is next with the weather.